What makes us good? What makes us evil? We know a lot about one of these two. So when I ask about why do some ordinary people turn evil, here's a shopping list. There is research on every one: dehumanization, diffusion of responsibility, obedience to authority, unjust systems, group pressure, power and control, moral disengagement. My colleague Albert Bandura has studied this in great detail. Anonymity. When we ask the question, why do others become heroic, we don't have an answer. It could be compassion, could be empathy. Maybe there's a hero gene. Maybe oxytocin, the work of Paul Zak at Claremont, Claremont McKenna, showing that this mother love chemical in the brain increases the likelihood you behave empathic or altruistic. But heroism is something different, as we'll see. But the interesting thing, what we do know about, it's the very same situation that inflames the hostile imagination of some people, making them villains. War, corruption, fraud. Instills the heroic imagination in other people to do heroic deeds. So Christians who helped Jews in the Holocaust were in the same situation, and the Nazis and other people, other civilians, worked to imprison Jews. Few people do evil, fewer act heroically. Between these extremes on the bell curve of humanity are the masses, the general population, who do nothing and do it with no imagination at all. In thinking about it, I'm going to call these reluctant heroes who refuse the call to action. And we know by doing nothing, when something is needed, they implicitly support the perpetrators of evil. So Edmund Burke says, all that matters for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. So on this bell curve of humanity, villains and heroes are the outliers. I'm going to say the reluctant heroes are the rest. And our job is, how do we give a call to service of the general population? How do we make them aware of the evil that exists? How do we make them, and at the same time, how do we prevent people on the evil side, people who promote these evil systems, to keep them from seducing them to their side? When we do, we convert the me into the we, because the egocentric me has to become a sociocentric we. Heroism is about one thing. It's about a concern for other people in need, a concern for defending a moral cause, knowing there is a personal cost or risk. That's the key. And you do it without expectation of reward. So altruism is heroism light. Compassion is a virtue that may lead to heroism, but we don't know. Nobody's established that link. So we want to have new research looking at these links. Which leader would you follow? Could it all depend on the circumstances? You'd like to not believe that, but here are these great leaders, also with their masses clearly obeying them. There are many ways for ordinary people to become heroic. I'm sorry. The equal number. That's another slide. So here's just a quick run through. We know the Chinese student, the tank man, who stopped this row of tanks from coming, crushing, killing Chinese students, who was simply there saying, "We want our freedom." We know in 9/11, the firefighters from Brooklyn Heights Fire Department did extraordinary deeds of heroism. In fact, when I was president of APA, I gave a presidential citation to Richie Murray on behalf of the other firefighters. But these are men who show extraordinary courage, essentially in battle or in disaster. Abu Ghraib stopped because of this guy, the most ordinary guy in the world, Joe Darby. His buddy showed him the CD. He looked at it and he was horrified. He said, "We're supposed to be bringing dignity to these people. We're humiliating them." He took that. He's a private in the Army Reserve, gave it to a senior investigating officer, said, "Sir, you have to investigate this." And that whistleblowing had great cost to him. They had to put him in hiding for 3 years, and his mother and his wife, because not only people in his battalion wanted to kill him, people in his little hometown in Pennsylvania wanted to kill them because they embarrassed the military and the Bush administration. Here's a wonderful kid, a 9-year-old, I call it a dutiful hero. In 2008, there was a massive earthquake in Sichuan province. The ceiling fell down in a school, killing almost all kids. He escaped, and as he was running away, he noticed 2 kids struggling to get out. He ran back and saved them. And they said, "Why did you do that?" He said, "I was the hall monitor. It was my duty. It was my job to look after my classmates." Okay. So this is going to become really important in a minute when I talk about our new project, the Heroic Imagination Project. We think that heroism starts with this imagination, with this focus on the other. What can I do? What is my obligation towards society? Irina Sendler was a Polish hero, a Catholic who documented, saved at least 2,500 Jewish kids who were holed up in the Warsaw Ghetto that the Nazis erected before they brought the people to concentration camps at Auschwitz. She went in and had to convince Jewish parents to give her their kids. because she's saying the kids are going to die. We will try to hook them up with you, if everybody lives. And she was able to smuggle out 2,500 kids. But what she did, and this is critical, she organized a network. So one of the principles we're talking about, heroes are most effective, not alone, not the soldier in battle who takes a bullet for his buddy, but forming a network. Now, the other thing is the evil of inaction. We said few people do evil, few act heroically. Most people, most of the time, do nothing. And that's the ones we have to focus on, both in the greater good and our Heroic Imagination project. Dante says the hottest places in hell are reserved for those who, in times of great moral crisis, maintain their neutrality. Martin Luther King says we must learn that passively to accept an unjust system is to cooperate with that system, and therefore to become a participant in its evil. Canadian peacekeeping forces in Bosnia were forced to watch Serbs brutally rape gypsy girls, and they were not allowed to intervene. I met one of these guys who still has years later, post-traumatic stress disorder. Canadian force in Rwanda witnessed the same thing, and because they were peacekeeping, were not allowed to intervene, and many of these people have long-lasting psychological consequences. Here's a very different kind of hero.
On the New York City subway, it's hard enough finding someone who will give up his seat to a stranger, let alone be willing to give up his life for one.
The train was coming in like that.
It happened just 50-year-old Wesley Autry, a construction worker and Navy veteran, was standing on a subway platform with his two little girls when right in front of them, a man started having a seizure.
He kind of stumbled and over his own feet and fall backwards. I see a train coming, but the train is so close, I'm like, what do I do?
Wesley jumped onto the tracks and thought if he could just lie on top of the man, keep him from flailing, maybe the train would roll right over both of them. The clearance was exactly 21 inches. Wesley and the man, 20 and a half.
No way the train can stop before this gentleman could get him up off the tracks. So he covered him with his body and pushed him down to a point where the train wouldn't hit his head and held him down under the tracks while the train came and rolled right over the top of him.
It gave Wesley's children the scare of their young lives.
I thought he was going to get killed.
And Wesley, the scare of his, too.
I'm like talking to him, sir, you can't move. I got two kids up here looking for the father to come back. I don't know you, you don't know me, but listen, don't panic. I'm here to save you.
As for the guy Wesley saved, he's 20-year-old Cameron Hollipter. And other than a few scrapes and bruises, his father says he's doing fine.
Mr. Autry's instinctive and unselfish act saved our son's life.
The word hero gets thrown around a lot nowadays.
What a better way to start off the new year than to save a life.
Nice to be reminded of what one really looks like. Steve Hartman, CBS News, New York.
So what one looks like is the most ordinary person in the world. He's 50 years old. He's never done anything like that. There were 75 people on the platform. And the question for psychologists is, could you have picked... Whoops. Could you have picked him out? And I don't think so.